video with your friends or anything with whatever your issue is, whatever you want to speak out against. That's one way, one format, you know. With art and music and video, photography, there's so much there to utilize. The different formats and networking sites. So
what do you use to edit?
Final Cut Pro.
Anything else?
No. I've tried like Windows Movie Maker, you know, all those are, well, that's like a PC system, which is okay, but I used Final Cut for so long that...
No, you used the YouTube editor to do the captions for Makana's video. Oh, how did you upload you uploaded it as text?
I didn't put any captions.
Oh, I thought you added captions also.
Some other people, once I put it up, other people started putting it up in different, oh, that's another thing, tags. When you do a YouTube video, tagging is very important, because on YouTube, when people search things, you know, whatever you're protesting or whatever you want to promote, tagging is very important. That you tag it the right way, or because you know you can even make the same video edited differently with the same story and then rename it, and so that you get different viewers, different demographics, or because you want to reach the demographic that you want to reach, you know, and the audience you want to reach. But think about the other people too. Sometimes you gotta do something to get other people's attention that may not always pay attention to that one circumstance. But if you can do something and add it in there that'll get people's attention, then you get them there. Then you show them what you want to show them. You know, it's a psychology there too. The activism or whatever you want to do. And that's about. Melani's good at that. I know when I videoed her, you know, down here, whatever the cops or the people tried to say, she just spoke the truth, and then they couldn't do anything because that was the truth. And we had the cameras there. I try not to get confrontational, get in the cop's face and stuff. You know, I try to at least stay like 3 feet away from them. You know, give them their space, because like anybody, you keep a camera on them. You know, even I don't like cameras on me too, but hey, it's a public area. It's a protest. There's gonna be cameras, you know, but don't need to get all right and you know. Try to be civil about it, even though they, you know, but that's why I like what Lawani does and the way she does her activism. Any questions?
Any questions or comments, anyone? Paul, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you go to my page? Can you scroll down? Okay, I'll start with this one. This one was taken this way from my camera, and it went right up onto line. I was able to do this with a new phone. So no sooner did this happen, it was right up online.
What's going on there?
This is an action where this is a whole peeling. It's a continuous program that's being forced down our throats and up our butt. It's called illegal occupation. It's called greed. It's called New World Order. It's a sick program, but it uses laws that have no business here to force us to conform to their way of living and their rules, which does not have our well-being in mind. It's like a social triage where they're systematically cutting us out of the picture while keeping what we have. Yes.
It's a development project they're taking farmlands and turning it basically into
It's
a
lands
mega.
that was supposedly set aside for agriculture, but actually these lands that are so-called set aside for agriculture 40 years ago were already targeted and mapped out as the second city. So, it depends on what you know and who you know and where you get your information.
And these guys basically are getting busted for holding signs because they said they were told that it distracts traffic, right? Is that what happened? I wasn't there.
Yeah,
but I heard
it
it.
was distracting traffic.
Yeah, they said that it was distracting to traffic to hold signs where cars could see them.
The politicians can.
Yeah, right.
I think one of the major issues that needs to be brought out about that land is that it's the only land left in Milwaukee that you can grow 4 crops and that has water, that we don't have to go searching for water. Where if you go somewhere else, there is no water guarantee, and that's the only land left that has that. And to me, that's a major point. That what are we going to do in 20 years from now?
Right.
One thing to note about that video is it caused a spike in hits to the website and a lot of interest on Facebook. So that one event, even though it was small, did help increase interest and raise awareness of the issue.
Did you do any editing, or it just went out?
No, it just went straight out, just from my phone, just straight out.
See, can I offer a little bit of critique then?
Sure, please.
Because you guys already know what the issue is, but if somebody else was looking at it, what we didn't see is the sign. You guys see the sign, so everybody knows what's going on, and then it begins to make sense. And I like the idea of focusing on the gun, first of all, and the ticket. I mean, whatever actions they're doing.
Okay, but here's the thing is, with this video, for the information, I have the website. So you click on there and it takes you to all the information about the action and what's happening.
It's in the title, and the subtitle.
That was also very difficult to shoot. You have a really early morning bright ambient light source, and he's actually shooting from a side angle. Get all that. A lot of the pictures that I took, I was facing the signs, but a lot of the pictures I took, it's like they just weren't usable. Because I was shooting onto back. It was backlit, and it was really, really bright, and there was not enough refraction off the front in order to see the sign. All you saw was a bunch of shadows standing across the highway. So actually, yes, I feel that his video, the way that he framed it, was according to the light situation, and it would have been much more powerful than if he had gotten like a whole bunch of shadows.
Can I make a comment too? I think this is a good example of sometimes whatever get. You know, you just you shoot what you've got.
Here's another action. This one I had time to edit and put together.
And a police officer came and said, "You gotta take it down." And he says, "Okay, please tell us."
What's your what?
He says it's illegal to solicit the attention of voters.
Can you make it full screen?
Oh.
It's illegal to elicit the attention of voters unless you're a politician.
All right, that's a good sign.
Or maybe make it small because it might take a while for it to be.
This is all footage you got?
Yeah.
Yeah, over here, in order to get this footage, you have to go down low on the. See, this is where the overpass is, and where he was standing to take that picture is like probably about 20 yards up and down.
So I had to jump over the railing, go out onto the shoulder, climb over a fence. This is what the Guerilla comes in handy.
So you have to be portable, you have to have all your equipment with you, and well, drop it with you. Or
Shall I cite as a reason to tell the guys to take up? Other than we don't like people
He's talking about the action that we're going to be doing. So this is what you hear, the underlining voice.
Can you give me the number, the code, the section? And he couldn't do that. He looked on his cheat sheet, he couldn't find it. So again, he calls his supervisor just tell him to go look it up on the internet. Because he tried to put it up on his computer, but it was slow, right? Slow.
He's talking about finding the citation on it,
Yeah.
Yeah, he's having a problem.
There was no. There was legal. Yeah, exactly.
That ordinance was unconstitutional by the Hawaii State Supreme Court.
So they just
So you just explained it.
They still wrote the citation. They had no.
Okay, so it was ruled unconstitutional, but it's still been on the books ever since. And so
The key point though in this action though is you have to get the citation and or an arrest in order to move forward with it. Because it's like prior to that, it's like this isn't really newsworthy.
I'm willing to be arrested. I don't want anyone else to be arrested because I don't want anybody else to be actually lose money.
So this is the third time they went up there and cited probably. So they figure the fourth time they go up there, they're gonna have to make it worthwhile by staging an arrest and staging everything so that the media comes out and really get a lot of action.
That's another thing. It's like think about your budget. If you're gonna have people getting arrested, it's like you're gonna have like a few grand like for bail. Videotape. If you're using videotape or if you're using AC cams, you gotta charge everything. The gas. It takes gas to go out there. The signs, people, like food, all that kind of stuff. So figure out your budget when you're gonna be doing it.
Another thing, if you're gonna stage an action like that, then you should let your network know that you're gonna do it, so everybody's tuning in and you make that opportunity as much as possible. Like Carmelo said, reach out to your networks and let your networks know so that you're all in solidarity with the action.
It is illegal to attach a sign.
Oh, you can keep it going.
Because you're going to see the police action coming down.
Public property. So if we do that, then they have the right legally to tell us to take it down. And then we don't understand they have every right to arrest. So we
Who's speaking?
Dude, this is the guy Randy. He's the one.
Oh, that's another thing. Your video cameras may not pick up the best sound. So if you're using a video camera and a cell phone in conjunction, you might want to use a cell phone as an audio-only recorder. If you have an audio-only recorder, that's also good. What's nice about that look-see is it's like really small, so it's like people don't realize that you're taking them. However, as soon as you stick a video camera up in front of their face, they might not want to keep talking. The simple ways around that is send yourself a voicemail before you start talking to somebody.
Another way is you can leave the camera running, but don't put it on them. Like sometimes I've been told to turn the camera off, I leave it on and just put it down. And I say, yeah, okay, and the cop's talking, and I'm, and I got the audio. If I get threatened or harassed, I'm getting his voice. No matter, I don't need the picture. Okay, the cop's getting confrontational. I say, okay, just put the camera down. Tell me, yeah, it's off. Don't put it up there. Put it on, okay, make like you shut it off, leave it running. You get any audio, so.
I think how long you got hit by somebody, like filming. Did you ever have that happen to you? No.
I'm sure people wanted to hit me, but never did. No.
Okay, so does anybody else have questions or comments?
So Kamala, you said that when you put your occupied video out, you got
I got threats. So be ready for threats. You're going to start videotaping cops and city and county employees. Remember, they got connections and power, and they don't like being on TV and exposed to what they're doing. So, Yeah, death threats and all kinds of stuff.
But I think your way of handling it is really important.
I stay in the public eye. That's why I try to stay in the public eye and stay seen.
Very important.
So the good thing to do is if there's a website to have them speak it up and talk it.
Because when they write the letter to the Land Use Commission will see that the public wants to preserve this prime farmland, and then they will say no to
You
development.
can then also text it and have it go slow or have it a free script.
I think what's really good about this group is like this group has like a public speaker like right in front, and you can like find them really easily. This section right here is unedited, but like he put together like footage from the daytime, nighttime, and the audio. The audio was from another track that he recorded. So, and he would have used Final Cut Pro for it.
This is the thing now, the police, they finally figure out that they can't arrest them. So they come back out of their cars, and they start getting people's information, which is illegal. But this is what they've been famous now for documenting protesters or anybody who's speaking up against the system. APAC, when they were here, they paid the HPD to do the videoing and the documenting of any kind of actions that were going on.
So when people decide not to give the police information, the police use their cell phone to take the news.
What's interesting, they have women doing the collection as opposed to
Oh,
men.
right.
Send the chicks out to get there.
Yeah, last time they sent me down, like this like tall like guy like came down and was like, I don't want to be on camera because I'm undercover.
Why would you say that?
Guys can see who I am. I'm like,
When it's already been known that this access have cameras, so you know it's.
yeah, if you don't want to be seen in public, then go.
It's a psych game. They see you and raise you. So it's for you today.
They didn't try to tell you guys you need a permit?
Is it? It's not against the law.
No, but sometimes they try to throw stuff like
Well,
that.
this is what they did before, but now the camera's running. They know that they don't have anything.
I think this is the third option. This is the third visit.
Well, then you can explain that it's no longer.
Let's do the thing. They don't want to see porno again.
This is Pono Size on YouTube.
So you know what's going on, you know what the situation is. The audio is oftentimes way more important than video.
Yep.
Video is really good if you can get it. One picture can say 1,000 words. You're filming on the fly like this. Audio is really important because you know what's going on, even though it's not picture perfect, but you know.
Other questions or comments?
It's lighting. It's lighting. It's lighting. Okay, anyway, so this is basically what I do. Things that you're gonna need. Gonna need a camera, cell phone, either one will do. You're gonna need YouTube or Vimeo, someplace where you can upload Photo Bucket. Even you can use Photo Bucket, things like that. They have some free sites that you can go to. They're kind of limited, but it depends on how your piggy bank is. Another thing that helps out if you have wireless mics, because a lot of times you want to get the clear sound of who's talking and kind of limit the background noises, and it does make a big difference. You want to make sure you have a power supply. You want to make sure, with me, I was able to kind of save my money, kind of figured out what I needed to get. So I basically become like a Guerilla Media unit on my own. I can go anywhere, video, shoot it, put it up. Within a half hour, it can be online. And it has made a lot of differences. Some big ones that I know that has helped would be like Kahana Bay, where I've seen the magical media and it going to the right people that cause the change. So I know that there is some things, even though
The Putty Eye Bill with Daniel.
the Putty Eye, that, yeah. There's some things that I can see that we help to
Make a difference in.
exactly, or help to further it on our strengthening and sport. So anyway, that's about it. You guys want to know any more about me? Just Google Pono Size, and this is the beauty of what I do. I got over 500 something videos on YouTube, some over 4 hours. Because
how many people on your Facebook?
I have about 8,000. So they have lots of people under them. So it goes out and it's worldwide. So I know that YouTube is fucking with my number count. And especially ones that are really putting the screws to them, they keep it as low as they can, but I know it gets out. So anyway, what can you expect? It's a corporation. Got to know how to use it to get your point across. Any questions?
Isn't YouTube attached to Google, and do you have access to Google Analytics to compare it, or is that not?
I don't think he's using analytics at this point, but you really don't need to for his purposes, because it's like the volume that he uploads. Getting there.
But
it's already there.
People owning YouTube isn't necessarily a negative thing if you look at it differently, because it also means that YouTube indexes or ranks really aggressively in Google. So, I mean, you can put a video up and within 24 hours it's climbing up in Google. So you can use that to your advantage too, I think. Like you were talking about tags.
The point too, though, that marketing is very important, and that's why tags were mentioned. The other thing is, like, he's trying to put it up in the shortest amount of time possible, like 30 minutes. And yes, it's like analytics are included. I think there's an option that you can just turn on. He's not even concerned about that. The other thing, though, is like you also post videos to Guerilla, and that goes under a little bit different format. It's like basically you have to have your block on the way in front, and you have to have your contact information. That's the only difference. But YouTube is specifically one type of media. Yes, the analytics are interesting, but by then it's like the video's already been shared.
Oh, no, just curious, because Pono was suggesting that he felt like the numbers were skewed, so like that would have been a way that is a way to try and track it, I would suppose, if you were interested.
I got too much things on my mind. I just put it out, and if it goes, it goes. Yes, Tom.
You're talking about fast uploads and quick turnaround. So I was wondering if you could tell people what your workflow is like when you get it from your cell phone camera or your video camera. What do? Do you take it home? What kind of computer?
It depends. Like I said, me, I'm a Guerilla Media. I have everything I need with me. I have my cell phone or my video phone. I have cameras. I have digital camera, underwater camera. You name it, I'm prepared. I have my laptop. I have a hotspot, so I can basically plug in anywhere that I can get a phone connection. So.
And are you doing any kind of editing to the video, or is it just straight?
It depends on how much time I have. It depends on how much impact I want to bring to it. A lot of times, the they don't need it. It's just up and out. But it also, a lot of times I'll take a bunch of video and I'll have to weave a story. And this is exactly what television and movies do. And this is where you get my input. And this is where a lot of my videos, I'll say, you know, you're seeing it from my mind, from my eyes, and from my heart. So you have to keep that in mind when you're watching it. It's not black and white. It's how I see it and feel it. So anyway, that's about it. So, see.
Okay. Okay, I guess I'm on. No, I just want to apologize to everyone too, because I have a bit of a cold, so that's probably why I haven't kissed everybody and what you call it.
Is there anything you want to talk about that should be brought up?
What's that? You know, I did have some stuff, but I think I'm just gonna, you know, I think I'm just gonna talk actually. Basically, the main thing that I want to cover is when you're doing frontline video in Hawaii, there are some things that may not have been covered in the video that we saw, which was essentially what works in big cities for sure. And over here, a lot of that is still applicable, so that's really good. There are a few differences, and there are also some things to keep in mind and watch out for when you're, you know, for real out there on the streets that I think should be covered. So some things were, a lot of things were covered. I want to maybe fill in a few pukas. Kiri Iwai did a really good job of covering preparedness, and then Pono expanded on that, on all the different things that you can use. And over time, the more that you do these things, the more you're going to figure out for yourself, I need that, I need one of those, you know, and eventually you find a way to get it, right? But some of it is some really, really basic stuff, and the biggest thing really is to just have a basic checklist in your mind before you even get into the situation, which honestly, a lot of the times you may not see coming. You know, you may go to an action that's supposed to be completely peaceful, you don't expect any confrontation, and all of a sudden, boom, there's cops, there's somebody on the ground, you know, they're telling you, stand away, and there's 5 cops completely blocking you from getting to the scene at all, right? So now, you just came with what was in your pocket, and that's all you have, right? So it's important to, first of all, think about what you're going to wear before you go out into the situation, knowing that when you go out, you know, every moment that we're dealing with the system is potentially a confrontational scene. It could be between anyone, or it could be just an opportunity, you know, suddenly there's this uncle that nobody's seen for years, you know, and you're right there to say, uncle, can you tell us your mana'o? You know, this Pono is really awesome at doing that. He catches people all the time in those situations, and those kinds of opportunities are only as good as what you can get, right? So it's important to make sure that you have a fully charged device on you all the time that's gonna work, you know, and probably the charger to go with it, because there's probably gonna be some place you can steal electricity from, right? Sometimes there isn't, but you know, that's when all that other junk comes into play, right? But the simple cell phone and the charger, now to hold that means that you should be wearing something with pockets, right? Which is kind of a simple thing. I break that rule all the time and wear a pareo, and then I've got all this stuff tucked in, you know, tucked into the top of my pareo, which is kind of nuts, but it works. So, you know, those are things to think about, though, that you have to figure out a way that you're going to be able to hold all these things. You also generally want to think about basic things like, wearing long pants is a good idea. People do get hurt. They do get hurt. And also, Kitty Vai talked about camera angles, and remember that your camera angle determines how the viewer is going to be seeing it. So generally speaking, when you're shooting from a low angle, everybody looks more powerful. When you're shooting from a high angle, usually the reason you shoot from a high angle is because you're trying to get more of the scene, right? But everything looks smaller, right? So you want to kind of keep that in mind. Think from the viewer's perspective in doing that. Safety and protection are really, really important to keep in mind. Again, the long pants are important not only because, you may be down there on the ground, a lot of times I'll be like on my back on the ground to shoot up in a situation. But also because, people get knocked down, thrown around, everything else, and it happens. Also, sometimes there are irate people around who don't like the fact that you're filming, and that happens. And
The chick came back. Remember that photography chick? She kept bumping into you videotaping.
Right, and that's there people will get physical with you because you're videotaping. Police, and also often bystanders who are just really irate. Peacemaking skills are important to diffuse the situation, but you can only do so much of that when your job is to run the camera, right? So at some point you have to deal with it, and it does get hard. I've been punched in the face in the camera twice, and when you're in a situation where you're filming people who are very upset and don't want to be filmed, that can happen, right? Whether or not you've done anything wrong. So it's important to remember that. Also, police don't generally want to be filmed, right? They want to be doing the filming. They don't want to be on film, which is exactly why we're there. That's exactly the point. Because of that, there are certain things that you have to keep in mind when dealing with police. There's a lot of importance in finding a balance. Finding a balance is very, very important, and it's going to be different for every single person. Some people have different fighting styles. Basically, we have to remember that this is kind of like when you're out there and you're capturing something that is going to change people's minds and get them riled up enough to do something, you're basically engaging in war. And in doing so, you have to remember that the people that you're fighting along with are not necessarily of the same fighting style that you are, and that's okay. That's actually good. But like the video showed, sorry, I keep looking back there. Can you just give it a black screen or something? Like the video showed, it's important to keep certain things in mind. When cops will often do certain strategy along with other people who are there. And again, I'm talking about Hawaii's situation, because what's typical here that I don't see is so much in videos from the continent is that it won't be just cops. It'll be cops and cops with aloha shirts and cops in plain clothes and cops who are pretending that they're not cops.
Yep.
And then there'll be a bunch of people who are not cops but might as well be cops because they're acting like cops, but they work for some other agency in the government, and they'll all go, oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. I sympathize with you, but it's not me. You know, it's, you know, all of those guys. You gotta talk to this department and that, right? There's a lot of that happens. But what happens is when you're actually trying to video something happening, what happens is they will all gang up together and block you out, right? And then they'll say, stay 5 feet away from the action. Well, as far as they're concerned, the action is wherever they are, right? So they want you to stay 5 feet away from them. Meanwhile, 5 feet in front of them, something is happening. Okay, now, this is where, as a videographer, you're going to have to make a judgment call, right? And no, there's no right answer and there's no wrong answer for this, right? But you're going to have to find out where you're going to stand. How far are you going to push it? Because on one hand, if you totally back down, you're not going to get nothing. On the other hand, if you totally go all the way forward, they're going to take your camera and they will probably erase it, right? So you have to, you know, as a warrior, basically, you need to be able to use your weapon to the greatest extent possible without getting killed, right? So you need to find the way to do that. Generally speaking, it helps to, number one, know what your rights are, because you have the right to videotape, right? When in the scene that Kamuela showed, where he and I were down at the encampment that was being raided by police, you know, I was taking pictures and he was taking video when things. The clip he showed was before that it actually got, you know, high action, right, where someone got arrested and all kinds of other stuff happened, right? And they were very much doing those kinds of tactics to us, right? But what I would, because they would say, oh yeah, we're not trying to stop you from videotaping, but you need to stay 5 feet back, right? That's always their word, 5 feet back, right? Which is impossible because, like I said, they'll form a formation which blocks you from the real action, right? If you stay 5 feet back from them, it's just not happening, right? So what I would do is basically I would say, okay, that's fine. I can stay 5 feet as long as you provide me a clear shot of what's happening here. Because I need a clear shot. I am the media. And that's another thing, is that you have the legal right to videotape as part of the media. As a citizen with a cell phone, you are part of the media. But you have to say so, right? Which is a really weird thing, right? Sometimes they'll ask, well, who are you with? Are you with media? Who are you with? That's a classic question that they will always ask you. In the older days, I need to actually go out and get a press pass. Now, at least in Hawaii, I think after the Supreme Court ruling, I think everywhere that's occupied by the United States, I don't think you actually need a press pass anymore, but you need to identify yourself as part of the media, even if that media is citizen journalism, right? So you need to say, yes, I am part of the media.
I'm documenting.
Right.
Documenting this.
Right. And who are you with? And you give the name of your YouTube channel or your first name, which is your Facebook account or wherever you're going to put it, and that's the media, right? But you need to be pretty assertive about this because they will try to push you back. They definitely will try to push you back. And they'll be pretty assertive about it, right? And you need to know you don't have to stop and, you know, give ID or credentials because they'll ask for it, not only just to harass you and try to get that, but to take you away from the action, right? They will try to do those things and engage you in conversation with them so that you're not shooting what's going on over there, right? So you need to be aware of that because, you know, they've got a whole bunch of tricks that they will use, quite frankly. And if you're not smart, they're going to take you out of the action one way or another, whether it's by distraction or whether it's by blockage or whether it's by arrest or whatever they do. Your goal is to stay in the action and to get as close to the action as you can and to get it up as fast as you can. Now, worst case scenario, you do get busted, right? And this has happened. I've never gotten busted with a camera, but I've been around people who have, right? This is where, like the video showed, you need to work with other people. It's a must, right? Even if you don't know people, at some point you're going to have to figure that you need to, you're going to have to find somebody you can trust more than the people who are arresting you, because they're the ones who are going to end up with all your stuff, right? If you don't hand it off to somebody. So you've got to get that stuff out of your hands and to the people. Usually the smartest way of doing it, the most subtle way of doing it, is if you have a card, you know, if it's on a video, it's on a camera that has a card or a videotape, you get the tape or the card or like that, right? That can fit in your mouth between your cheek and teeth.
Or the little pocket.
Yeah, or the little pocket in your pants.
I have a short comment from Occupy Hilo Media that says, no need press pass in Hawaii. Just say your media. For sure,
right.
True on Big Island says Big Island Press Club.
Right, yes. You do not need a press pass. Now, for certain things, you need a press pass. Like APEC was the classic thing, right? APEC, it was almost impossible to get press passes. And yes, you did need a press pass because to get into... Right, yeah, so it was really hard, right?
I planned it way ahead of time, like from 2010 I started asking.
Right, so yeah, that...
If you Google, like, ACLU, photographers' rights, they got everything there. All your rights as a photographer.
Right.
You can, so
right. But in normal public, I'm talking about public places, right? Unfortunately, APEC wasn't considered a public place because we're just the ones getting screwed, you know. But basically, so, and there are a number of other places that wouldn't be considered public, right? So it's not a bad idea to get a press pass whenever you can, for sure.
But how do you deal with those situations where it's actually a public venue, but they're having it in a private, or in a public event, but in a private venue? So that's how you get excluded from it because it's a private venue. So how do you cover public events and private venues?
It's tough. That's almost a whole nother section. I can't totally cover it, but I think the short answer to that is that it does depend on the situation. If it's truly a public event, like it's advertised public welcome and it's being paid with tax dollars, you have a very, very good argument that even if it's in a private hotel or whatever the case may be, that can you send it to me? He cut it, he pasted it, he sent it in a text message. I got it. I was like, oh, is this what you meant? You know? So it's really, really helpful to have that. To, you know, when you're talking about working as a team, you can have people on that team who aren't even there. You know, somebody to hit the red press button. You know, well, what they said in the video was really important. Call for cameras. It's really important because you forget to do that in the actual situation. It's real easy to forget. It's really easy to be so wrapped up in the moment of what you're doing that you're like, oh crap, suddenly you realize I'm the only one here and these guys are more interested in taking me down than in the situation in the first place because now I'm the most dangerous person here because I have the camera. You know, so that's when you gotta, ideally, you want to see that situation coming before it happens and get other people with cameras over there. So yeah, cameras is really, really important. Call out for cameras. And when they get here, I'm going to tell you something though. Over here in Hawaii, we don't have those numbers or organization to do those like formation kind of things. I mean, it would be nice. But I think it's going to take a few more workshops before we're even to the point where we might have enough people to do any of that stuff.
You just have to be vigilant.
Over here, you're usually dealing with a very small number of people, right? But that very small number of people does need to work as a team. Now, the thing about getting different angles, I have to say that when you have small numbers, it's probably better, in my opinion, that everyone just try to catch everything, because the likelihood of everybody getting their stuff up is small. Honestly, you may be the only one to actually, get it from the camera to the computer to online or straight online or whatever. Mm-hmm.
Alani, you're talking about handing off a memory card to your friend, or the difficulty with getting things online if you're involved in the middle of some sort of action like this. And I just wanted to share a tech tip. They actually have iFi memory cards which have wireless capability built into the memory card. Ooh. So this is a new type of memory card technology that helps with uploading your photos as you take them. So it kind of goes along with this fancy smartphones where it's always connected to the internet, so that it could actually link up with your phone, and if you have your data plan on your phone, it's sending the photos over the web already as you're taking it. Or Pono talked about how he has a hotspot device, so that the card could then use the hotspot to send the pictures over the internet and upload it to your photo collection online before you even take the card out of the camera.
Wow.
So the iFi card is something that if you're interested in getting your photos out as soon as possible, that might be something to look at.
You do that with video too?
It would work with video, but it would be so much slower. It's not as effective because it would take longer. But it's much more affordable than some of the other technologies. I think instead of the $100 or $200 range, it's more like $50 or less. Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
I know. That's one thing I just really love about these kinds of things is that there are so many new cool things that only one person may hear about, but it's really important to work with other people and find out what's possible. Yeah, so let's see, I've probably gone over time, but yeah, are there any questions?
Questions or comments? And then we're going to take a little break.
If my thing's really quick, I don't want to lose the people. Before we do a break, can I just go ahead?
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. Can I cover one more thing because it was brought up earlier? Kitty Levi brought up the flashlight. Flashlights are in activist situations. The use of flashlights are
invaluable.
Yeah, they're very, very important, and you also you have to know how to use them so that they actually get benefit and don't create problems that shut your stuff down. So flashlights, very, very, very important so that you can catch that action. Do keep in mind that as you're shooting someone, and I think he brought this up a little bit too, if you have a flashlight, if you're in close range with a flashlight, it will piss them off really, really bad. Cops will take that as assault, and that's where you're in very murky legal territory too, because if they say that you're shining a light in their eyes or whatever where they can't see, they may have the ability to use that to shut you down, which is not what you want, right? So the best way to handle it is the person holding the flashlight be separate from the camera person, but working with them. If you
preferably more farther in behind or in
right
off to the side of the camera, but not in front of the camera.
Right.
Not from shining your light into the camera.
Right. So you always want to make sure, right? You don't want a backlighting situation where you have the light shining towards the camera. You always want to make sure that you have the light should be ideally behind the video person, because usually with this kind of camera anyway, we don't have like super mega telephoto lens, right? So we got to be pretty close in there, and also to catch the audio, right? So the light, usually you don't want to have that close, but if you're the only one and you're holding the light and you're filming, then it's going to be very difficult to have it at close range and yet at the same time to to have the light at far range and the camera at close range. Generally, you want the light back, not only because it's, the light is going to be a trigger to piss people off, but also because light is actually more effective when it's sort of diffused, right? And so you're going to diffuse more as you go back, right? You generally don't want, to use a stronger light from further back is better than to use a weaker light closer up, right? So generally the best thing is use a strong light and have somebody else hold it, for goodness sake, and in a way too, that light, I mean, for anyone who's ever been pulled over by a cop in their life, you know the effect that lights have, right? I mean, they make it so, that it just like drives people nuts and disorients them, right? That's why cops don't like it when you have a light on them. But if it's a separate person, here's the guy with the camera and here's the guy with the light, they're not going to, and the guy with the light is further back than the guy with the camera, they're not going to be able to get to the guy with the light very easily, So, and he can always step a little further back, or, he's more mobile than you are, right? Because you're trying to take the shot. So, anyway, it's just a good strategy. Have somebody else hold the light, have them hold it further back, but at the same time, make sure they keep it on the action. So that's where you want good communication to happen. So keep that in mind. Also, batteries for lights. I don't know why it is, but there just never seems to be the charge that you think there is in the flashlight. So you must have extra batteries, extra charge. If it's a plug-in chargeable flashlight like those fishing lights, I will tell you right now that the battery itself will find the end of its lifespan right in the middle of your best shot. I'm going to tell you that Murphy's Law totally applies to cameras and lights, and that you just got to know that it's not maybe it's going to happen. It is going to happen, so have a backup flashlight, So anyways, that lighting thing I wanted to cover real quick. But again, those are among the things that Kili'ivai was covering, and that Guerilla and Pono.
You have to remember, Murphy's Law applies not only to flashlights.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, those things are really important, and and remember too, just basically that action situations, by their nature, are not movies. You don't have a coned off situation. People are used to seeing TV and movies that are all scripted out, filmed from booms and all of that, right? And so you have to remember, like, that whole Pili situation, everybody was stuck on the sidewalk, right? So, I'll tell you right now, that's a very hard filming situation because you're crammed in on the same line as the subjects, right? And you're not trying to film them like this, right? So it's a very difficult filming situation. You can see how Pono kind of got around it by going down, shooting at different angles, doing things like that. But those are the things you don't notice until you go out there, you try it, you do trial and error, figure out what works, what doesn't work, how you can capture all these different things. You're thinking audio, lighting, camera angle, not getting arrested. It's a lot to think about, but do keep them all in mind. The best way to do it is just start practicing. Bust out that phone camera, catch some stuff, get it up there, and just keep doing it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so just before you begin,
Yeah.
let me just tell you guys what's coming up, because we're actually going to wrap up pretty soon, and I would like to make a discussion. Doug is going to present live streaming.
Can I get
we will have a
the
break.
keyboard?
So questions that haven't been asked can be asked without being live streamed. And we're going to have an exercise. One exercise, and then towards the end, what I wanted to do is to ask all the little guys that are here to give us some feedback on what could work better, and generally whatever it is that you might want to share. So, what do you guys say? Are you going to stay to the end? Okay, so do you want to take a break now? Go to the bathroom, or should
Well,
we just move
here,
it?
I don't want to lose the guys I got on. So it'll be quick, and I'm fairly well organized.
Maybe we don't need a break, but we do actually. I want those questions to come out that haven't been asked.
What I did is I put everything I'm going to present up at my blog, so it's the Doug Note. I'll email everybody the link, including the actual what we're watching here. I'll just.
Oh, cool. So we'll be able to watch this whole thing when I get home.
Well, it won't come here because this just shows what's live.
No, but I'm saying if I get home.
Yeah.
Okay,
And I'll show you how that works. I just wanted to start with a saying that I heard from Kamuela Enos, who I thought it was a Hawaiian saying, and he said, your enemy can teach you more than your teacher, than your sensei. Be careful, be grateful to your enemy for helping develop your technique and perfect your character. And it turned out to be a martial arts thing, so it's like I was trying to. I told him I'd try and use my Miyagi accent to deliver it. Let me just open it up here. Okay, what I'm talking about actually is live streaming. There's this really cool video that has nothing to do with live streaming. It's a camera on a toy helicopter. I won't show that now, but when you get home, that'll be worth seeing. Here's a little feature about the Wall Street live streamer, Occupy Wall Street live streamer. It's a couple minutes, so this might be worth watching. If we can get, how do I get sound?
On the bottom.
Yeah, there.
How do I unmute?
It says it's muted.
Yeah, sorry. Ah, very good. Button.
My name is Malik Rassam, Occupy the Hood.
So your live streaming today got me out of bed and got me here. So I think that happens for a lot of other people too. That you're doing a job for us that is important.
One of the great things about the Ustream is that I have a chat feed on my phone, and people can ask questions.
That's what we're looking at here.
Or people can ask me to do something, and I can do it. They're asking me to speak a little louder. Oh, okay. All right. Sorry. Someone actually said today, please move because we can't. And I did. I said, yeah, I thought of course. Well, right now we have 6,149 viewers. When it comes to working groups or even an occupation which is trying to make a new system, the way I see it is, if you are making a decision that will affect someone else's life, prepare for public scrutiny.
Today, I've had people from South Africa who've been watching me the whole day.
Really?
It's like 4 o'clock in the morning, and they said to me this afternoon that they'd like if I could come and say thank you. Because they're now what's been going on. More March on Thursday!
Fortunately, with the excitement of today's event, I believe I have reached my wit's end, at which point I must recharge my batteries, both figuratively and literally. I'm coming on the 19th hour of my Ustream. Since, you guys watching?
Whatever he needs. If whatever tweet comes out for him, you bring him what he needs immediately.
So, I'm going to sign off. Thanks for watching, everyone. So, again, thank you, everyone.
That was pretty cool. The stream is there. His actual Ustream channel I'll show here. I'll just bring it up to you so you know what it looks like. There's always something playing here that's recorded, but you can see everything he's recorded live will line up here. So it's worth checking out. This is what mine looks like. Same thing, Ustream. It's a free account, so you can sign up for it. Here are the comments that Occupy Hilo Media is actually making. The problem with Ustream, the free one, is you get ads unless you pay to get them off. It's like extortion, but it's free. Okay.
And you never know when the ad's gonna pop up.
Once you start, it'll start at the beginning, and if it's a long video, it says you'll get an ad in 9 minutes. Do you want to watch it now, or do you want it to interrupt you in 9 minutes? So it's like, oh shit, sometimes you gotta make that decision. Here is what Laulani was talking about. Here's a recorded bit of some interaction with the police in Laulani. I'm just gonna watch the first 1 minute, and then we'll replay it, and we'll go through the do's and don'ts. I'm documenting everything.
I'm sorry, the information
Well, you guys...
That's not recommended, by the way. I do it because I have a particular strategy. I don't recommend that other people give names and cell phone numbers. You don't have to give them any information.
Okay, I'm a little bit stuck.
Just have to throw that out there.
It's a little bit stuck here. Here we go.
Yeah, you actually can. You might as well. They'll be like, oh, no.
Oh, here we go.
That's why I give it to them. They already have it, and it's just for the, don't deal with that.
Can I speak to all of you for just a moment? In terms of the record, it's important to note that we've been advised to videotape interactions. So anyone who doesn't want to be videotaped is advised to leave the area
You can only do that in a public place, right? You can only say
Okay,
that in a public place?
that's the first minute, so we can go through some of the do's and don'ts on it. This wasn't live because it takes a few minutes to get a live stream going, get a log on, and that kind of stuff. So we went to Occupy Honolulu, and I saw Laulani surrounded by 4 cops, lights, that kind of thing. So
we weren't even. That's right. We were just coming to play. I was coming to play music. You were coming to bring food or something. We weren't. This wasn't supposed to be any action.
So the first do is start the camera. You don't have to aim at stuff. Just make sure the damn camera is going. Here's a don't. If you're the cameraman, don't hide behind your ex-girlfriend. Okay? Alternatively, don't get in front of the cameraman.
Why? She can protect you.
Yeah, you know, it's like.
She would protect.
Now I want to point out, this guy's going like this. 4 guys are surrounding one woman. 4 armed officers are surrounding one woman. He doesn't want me filming it. He feels harassed, he says. Poor guy.
I'm documenting it.
I'm sorry, the information is
Okay, he's around here. I don't give a shit about him. I'm trying to document what's happening between Laulani.
He's trying to distract you right now.
He's trying to distract me, so don't lose your focus.
Well, you guys can take
Harassment.
Well, I don't want to harass you. What I'm doing is
Don't tell me anymore.
Not
Can I
even so.
speak to all of you for just a moment? In terms of the record, it's important to note that we've been advised to videotape interactions.
I can take care of it. We're gonna take care of it.
Damage control! You want to get them in damage control mode!
Okay, and the other one is like, somebody was talking to me. If I'm filming something, I'm filming an interaction, I'm documenting it. And you know, unless it's important, like, don't talk to me, right? But this happens a lot of the time.
Yeah, spread the word!
Right. Get other cameras there if necessary and that sort of thing. Anyway, so this is a good one. And I just wanted to point that out, and it's on the...
Quick question in reference to that. So when they say harassment, they start throwing out the word harassment. Like, what do you do? What do you do about that?
That's a good question.
Because, like, what defines harassment? And, I mean, what can they do if you are just standing there with a camera and they say it's harassment? I mean, is it just bullshit?
Okay, can I take that one, because there is an actual point at which they can say you're harassing them, and that point has nothing to do with videotaping them. You have the absolute right to videotape, and they know that you do, right? But at the same time, if your presence, right, your physical body presence interferes with their work, or they can say it is, then they can call that harassment, right? So it's a fine line. You have to that makes you kind of dance sometimes, you know, where you got to kind of take a different angle, but you don't stop filming them, because, and over here locally, right, one thing, and I don't, sorry, but
on the legality point on that, she's right, because it's like here in Hawaii and like other places, it's like it only takes one person to agree to record something. If 2 parties are in a conversation, it only requires here in Hawaii for one person to agree to record.
Well, you know what's really funny, because I don't videotape as much as I photo, but if we're on an action and the damn cops want to be in the photo with us, it happens all the time. They'll run right up to you and they'll hug you, and I'm thinking, okay, take a picture.
I've seen those photos.
I know, and we try to, for me, it's always trying to back off. I don't want to take a photo with the cops, but they want to take a photo with us, you know. So that's kind of like really interesting, because by then they're calling us anti or whatever.
Oh, over here.
And now we're all.
oh, then every picture with you is another 10 grand in their salary.
So you were going to show
Because they gotta, the Aloha Shirt cops, they're like, you know, they want to show that they have good relations with the activists, you know, and that's a kind of an important thing. It's kind of good that it's, they get more money for doing that job,
What is that just, are you just making a reference, or is there actually such thing as an Aloha Shirt cop?
Public
affairs. Aloha Shirt cop, D'Angelo.
They came down during APEC and they didn't leave. Basically, it was
They're in uniform, hat with a band.
Right.
Yeah, I know we have like that. They're kind of like a public relations version. They're supposed to be a little bit more public friendly.
And they're local.
They come to
That means they grew up over here,
Right.
and they all went to school with everybody over here, so we know them.
Santos and Carvalho.
Yeah.
Well, some of them do. The thing is that the reason that they do that is for a couple of different reasons. One is very plainly economic. You know, for big corporate powers like APEC, right, or the ADB, you know, the Asian Development Bank that have come here, you know, to have their humongous meetings.
What?
Don't want to see a bunch of protesters getting.
Sorry, hold on. You didn't see that it said Whitney Houston died. Hold on, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
that's how it too, yeah.
Yeah, she died. 48 years old.
Okay, well, you were saying APEC, and so the Aloha Cops and
Yeah, sorry.